In Sweden, a person must have a surname and 1 to 3 given names. Surnames are today usually inherited patrilineally, while given names are usually chosen by a person's parents. The calling name by which the person is normally identified in conversation is in Scandinavian countries sometimes the first name, sometimes the second or third name. Often the calling name is indicated by an asterisk, by capital letters, or by underlined or italic typeface. For example, Marta Birgit Nielsen is known as Birgit Nielsen, while Agnetha *Ase Feldskog is known as Agnetha Feldskog. The other given names are sometimes called middle names since the term was introduced in 1983, also if the middle name is the first given name. Surnames. In Scandinavia, patronymic surnames based on the father's first name were common. In Sweden, the patronymic ending is son, e.g. Karlsson. During the 19th century, these son names were transformed into permanent family names. At about the same time, people of the Scandinavian middle classes, particularly artisans and town dwellers, adopted family names in imitation of the gentry. Ornamental family names joining two elements from birthplace and nature, such as Bergman, Holmberg, Lindgren, Sandström and Ackland, were quite frequent and remain common today. For a table of the elements that form such names, see. Another source of surnames was the Swedish allotment system, which from the mid-late 17th century was organized to maintain a standing army, and where a number of farms were grouped together and thence supported a soldier with a small cottage and piece of land. The soldiers were often given names either describing the character, weapons or names joining two elements from nature as above. The name often followed the cottage rather than the soldier. These soldiers' names became very common. Before Sweden's Family Name Regulation Act of 1901, the patronymic was the most widely used instead of a surname. Surnames amongst the Swedish gentry's surnames in Sweden can be traced to the 15th century, where they were first used by the gentry, i.e., priests and nobles. The names of these were usually in Swedish, Latin, German or Greek. The adoption of Latin names was first used by the Catholic clergy in the 15th century. The given name was preceded by Herr, like Herr Lars, Herr Olaf, Herr Hans, followed by a Latinized form of patronymic names, e.g. Lars Peterson, Latinized as Laurentius Petri. Starting from the time of the Reformation, the Latinized form of the birthplace became a common naming practice for the clergy. The Swedish family Benzelius was derived from Bensby in Luleå, the birthplace of Ericus Henrici Benzelius Bodniensis, who was the first to adopt the family name. The surname Retzius was from the Lake Resen, near to the Odensby parish vicarage in Vastavik. Later merchants and other social groups discarded the formerly used family names and adopted occasionally high-sounding Latin surnames which conjured an image of an old family pedigree. Another subsequent practice was the use of the Greek language with the ending with ander, the Greek word for man. The use of surnames was still quite uncommon in the 17th century among the nobility and the educated class. Furthermore, the concept of hereditary surnames was also limited to a few families. When a family was ennobled, it was usually given a name. In the 17th and 18th centuries, the surname was only rarely the original family name of the ennobled. Usually, a more imposing new name was chosen. This was a period which produced a myriad of two-word Swedish language family names for the nobility. Very favored prefixes were Adder, Aaron, Silfa and Gillen. Unlike a British peerage title, such a name became the new surname of the whole house, and the old surname was dropped altogether. The ennoblement of Peder Johansson is a case in point, where the use of the old surname was discontinued, and thus, after the ennoblement, Peder Gillensvard came into use. An illustration of the old name having an addition to it can be seen the ennoblement of the brothers Johan Henrik Lang and Lars Adam Lang taking the surname Langens Jol.